Hey guys, Civilorn here, back again with another action figure review, wrapping up my looks at this Marvel Legends quote-unquote mini-comics wave, unless by some chance of I found it for dirt cheap, we look at that piece of shit Miles Morales from this wave. We got the Ultimate Iron Man, brought to us by the fine folks over at Hasbro, and despite the fact that this guy's torso, spoiler alert, is 110% almost not even functional, I actually thoroughly enjoy this figure, because when I was a boy, I grew up with the Ultimate Avengers movies from Lionsgate, the direct-to-DVD animated ones, and I do believe that the Ultimate looks were the primary looks for the Avengers in those movies. Thus, I need to pick this guy up because I got the Ultimate cap coming from a friend, and I wouldn't mind seeing an Ultimate Thor to go with him. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Maybe don't overkill with the Ultimates universe, but, you know, some characters sprinkled here and there would be nice. That said, some $20.99 love would also be very much appreciated, especially if you're going to do Ghost Rider. I mean, shocker, that's the one I want the most, but you guys know this channel if you've been here before. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, why don't we cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review and take a look-see at all Iron Man has to offer in terms of accessories, starting off with a pair of grip hands. Ain't that some shit? He actually has pairs of hands, unlike Rom, best figure of the wave. But they also have the wrong hinge for holding weapons. That sucks. But does Iron Man really need grip hands? I guess if you want him to hold this piece of shit, he does. But for me, no, he doesn't. But that is a Iron Man, Ultimate Iron Man #1 there. Rom, of course, came with Rom #1. I didn't mention that in his video, but it should be pretty self-explanatory. That said, he does also have repulsor hands. They actually have hinges in them, and I do believe they have the ports, but you don't get any blast effects. So, if anything, they could have ditched the comic and the grip hands, give us some blast effects, and an unhelmeted Tony Stark head, and we would have been off to the races. Other than that, that's all you get, so taking a closer look at Townie here. Don't forget, you too can get yourself a bag of Tony's nuts if you want. I'm not going to leave a link in the description this time. You got to search that shit out on your own. But just saying, sponsor the channel. But as far as the torso is concerned, because I did mention it was practically not functional, he does have a diaphragm joint that does turn and kind of leans back and forth a little bit and side to side, but it's practically like, look at this. This is how far forward he leans. This is how far back he leans. It doesn't do shit. Like, it is pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know it was this bad. Like, Venom was pretty bad. This guy is worse. As far as the waist goes, it's fairly tight when you get him out of the package. So what I did is I actually heated him up. I was able to pop the legs off at the ball socket there, which they don't get a ton of range either, but they are big, chunky, armored things. And then this piece is actually a diaper that just kind of clips on to the crotch piece. It's kind of like a skeleton on the inside. So all you have to do is heat this up, heat up the legs, pop them off, and then you can get in there with some shock oil, or is it WD-40, what people use? I just use soap because it doesn't fuck up the plastic. But as you can see, it is still fairly tight, but not as tight as it would be. So I'm pretty sure it's safe to say I got the soap in there. But man, oh man, it was a pain right in the ass to get it in there. But yeah, it works. It's just not great. But as far as the head goes, he's got a disc hinge at the base of the skull, and then he does have a ball joint in the base of the neck, but due to the collar, it's hindered. But you can actually, despite his shortcomings, get this guy in a hero pose. It's not the best hero pose, but it exists. Shoulders, as you can see, can move out pretty far. At least T-pose, it's good enough. Rotate forward and back. He's got a bicep swivel. much like Rom, because he's big and chunky in a new mold. Not too gummy there. He's got a double elbow. That works just fine. Swivel hinge wrists. Those work just fine. He's got these big chunky... Are these blasters on his arms? That's kind of cool. They almost look like they got ports on them. Torso, we just went over. Hips can kick out about that far. If you swivel the ball hinge around in here, or the socket joint in here, you can actually get him to do like a better split, but it's not perfect. Thigh cut is thigh cut. It's hidden due to the armor, so that's nice. Double jointed knee works just fine. And then he does have a hinge in the foot with a rocker. And unlike Rom, he does get a little bit of rotation down there. So he's got a ball hinge. But yeah, very hindered because of the design and just bad engineering. I think this guy should just had like the regular ab crunch. I don't think they needed to try and do a McFarlane joint here, essentially. That's kind of what this reminds me of, but it don't work. And I'll tell you why it doesn't work. Hasbro doesn't put ball pegs in here. These are straight pegs, because I heated this up to pop it off so I didn't get soap all over it, because, well, it gets a little messy at times. And I can only assume that there's just a straight peg in here. So, if you guys are gonna try and do something like this, you need to make them ball pegs. You cannot use straight pegs and expect to get lean out of that. That's scientifically impossible, bro. Like, that's not how it works. It's not how it works! Standing him back up. Another thing to mention, if you gotta tag it by you, I got this guy on sale for 18 bucks, which is a steal, considering, well, he's all new tooling, so shouldn't he be maximum? I'm going to talk about that. Don't ask me to review that Hulk. I don't have it. I'm not going to buy it. I don't care for his condom chest. That said, if you do have a target, don't try to buy that animated series Bruce Wayne wave, because they'll tell you it's street dated until July 20th, which makes no flippin' sense because the figure's based off a 90s cartoon. Either way, side rant aside, it is time now that we move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here's good old Ultimate Iron Man, alongside a couple other characters from the X-Men side of things, from this quote-unquote mini comics wave. We have Dark Avengers Wolverine, aka Daken, as well as a Banshee from Giant Size X-Men, screaming his ass off, either because Siren does not come with a screaming head, his, was it daughter or sister, or maybe the fact that I don't like him as much as Ultimate Iron Man here, despite the fact that he has functioning torso articulation, which, as much as I want to applaud Hasbro for doing something different, it doesn't fucking work. It doesn't fucking work at all. They should have just given this guy an ab crunch and a waist cut, and the articulation would have worked just fine. You know, sometimes you just got to stick what you're good at, man, and Hasbro's good at ab crunches and waist cuts. Maybe not cutting them all the time, but they at least function. So, getting these two out of here. So bringing our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibilith, right there. And the infamous Element Spawn. Ooh, I'm kind of curious. Yeah, he's a lot bigger than old Iron Man here, but that's because he is a 7-inch figure and not a 6-inch figure, because yes, I can count. So with that being said, it's time now that we wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and aside from the practically non-existent articulation in the torso and the fact that the waist is pretty darn tight on this figure, to the point where I felt the need to loosen it up a bit, I'm going to say that good old Ultimate Iron Man here is one of the stronger releases in this wave. As far as I'm concerned, he, Rom Space Knight, and probably the Dark Avengers Wolverine, aka Daken, are my top 3 figures from this wave. The rest aren't bad by any means, but I think those 3 just do something that the other ones don't have to bring to the table. So, with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this review. And until next time, I'll catch you guys Later.